What's up guys, I'm going to do another Black Ops 2 video, and in this video I'm going to be talking about two specific things. One, if PlayStation 4 will ever get Black Ops 2's backwards compatible or just playable on the PlayStation 4, and then the second is just kind of where Microsoft will go from here and what the next huge backwards compatible title will be. So first up, we're going to talk about the PlayStation 4. So PlayStation 4 kind of has a backwards compatibility feature, kind of doesn't. So the way Microsoft's works is that the Xbox One will emulate an Xbox 360, so it will perform almost the exact same. You know, there is still a margin of error there. There is like VSync enabled on all 360 games that run on the Xbox One, and in most cases the frame rate is better. And I'll leave like a playlist of Digital Foundry down in the description where you can check out a bunch of Xbox 360 games running on the Xbox One. You can see like a performance difference, and more often than not, Xbox 360 games that are backwards compatible will run better on the Xbox One than they did on the Xbox 360. So it'll smooth over some of the bad frame rates and just like the inconsistencies in frame rates of old 360 games and just kind of polish them up a little bit. And yeah, so that's the way it runs on the Xbox One. It's pretty easy, and I'm really surprised that Xbox and Microsoft was able to even do this. Like, they even said a couple years ago that they weren't able to do this, that since the Xbox One is a different architecture and like everything about it is so fundamentally different than the 360, that it would be impossible to get the emulation of it up and running on the Xbox One, but somehow they were able to manage to get it done, and now we have a bunch of Xbox 360 games playing on your Xbox One, and that's fantastic. And I'm just so happy that like this is such a huge decision for Microsoft, and I'm so glad that they did it. And it's been seriously one of the best things about the Xbox One, and it's been one of the main reasons why I know a lot of people personally have like actually bought an Xbox One and gotten away from their 360, was that they were finally willing to kind of give up their 360 because they're like, okay, a decent number of my 360 games are able to be played on my Xbox One, and there's also a decent library of Xbox One games that they want to play. And so Microsoft right now is like this perfect point where there's enough new games out on the system that it's, you know, it's encouraging people to buy an Xbox One. Then there's also a huge amount of old games on here that people can go back and play their favorite 360 games whenever they're feeling like it, and just there's this sweet balance there right now. But on PlayStation 4, there is no like true backwards compatibility on there. You can't just like pop in your PlayStation 3 disc of like Black Ops 2 in there and just have it run. But PlayStation's version of backwards compatibility on the PS4 is through PlayStation Now, and it's like $15 a month, so it's a little subscription service separate from PlayStation Plus, which I think is the stupidest thing in the world, as why you're paying, you know, like 15 bucks a month for PlayStation Plus, and then you're also paying another 15 a month for PlayStation Now. Like, that is just so whack and so stupid that, you know, they have like these different, you know, it just makes no sense to me. But through this, you're able to play some of your PlayStation 3 and even like back to PS2 and PS1 games on your PS4. But the way it does this is by having these games run on a server, and then you connect to the server. So it's kind of like a Netflix style service where you connect to the server and you're just kind of streaming the game from them. And it's also similar to the way Nvidia's I think it's GeForce Now works, where you're playing off of their systems and you're just streaming it to your system, so your system isn't doing like any heavy lifting. It's not even technically playing the game. But you know, with this, since you aren't like playing the game locally and you're not playing the game on your system, there is a significant amount of lag to it. So like anytime you press a button or do any input on your end in the game, it has to send it into your system, and your system has to send it to your router, and then your router has to send it to, you know, wherever PlayStation like has to send it into PlayStation, and then PlayStation has to take that, send it to wherever their server is or whatever is playing the system. Server has to input, and to take that input and to realize what it's doing, and it has to actually put that into the game, and then the game has to respond. So it has to go back out to PlayStation, back to you, back to your router, back to your system, and then be displayed on screen. And this usually isn't very long, you know, it's only in milliseconds, so it's not that big of a deal. But you have to have good internet with this, for one. Like, if you have an internet connection that like starts out at like 200 milliseconds of ping, then most games are just going to be really rough and are going to be really, really bad to play. But for most games, like single player games like Uncharted and stuff like that, it's not that big of a deal because it's a single player game and you don't really have to be quick and like have super fast response to anything in there. You just kind of do an action here and there. And with a first person shooter like Call of Duty, it would not work almost at all with PlayStation Now, just because of how much lag there would be between like sending it to the server and back, and it would just be so miserable to play on. And so if Sony was somehow able to get backwards compatibility on their PlayStation 4, then that's when you'd actually be able to do it. So Microsoft was able to do it, and I wouldn't doubt that Sony will be able to sometime, but Sony said that it is near impossible to get it on their PlayStation 4 because they're in the same boat. The PlayStation 4 is so fundamentally different than the PlayStation 3 that, like they said, it's near impossible to get it running. But then again, that's what Microsoft said as well. Microsoft said that it was pretty much, virtually impossible to get a 360 game running on an Xbox One, but here we are playing Black Ops 2 again 5 years after its release on an Xbox One, and we're able to play with the same people and with better frame rates and with no screen tearing, and just like make it better and just play the same games. So we're able to play 360 games on our Xbox One. Microsoft said it could be done, but they were able to find a way. So I find it highly unlikely that we'll see this anytime soon. I say if we're gonna see it at all, it would most likely be probably next year. That'd be my guess, is maybe E3 2018 is when Sony might come out and be like, hey, we have backwards compatibility on the PlayStation 4 now. But I mean, honestly, don't expect anything about that or anything like that this year at E3 from Sony, or really within like any time soon, because honestly, like Microsoft, they have so many geniuses over there. Like, I'm not saying that Sony doesn't either, but Microsoft is a huge company and has like such deep pockets that they're able to finance this, and they have, are able to hire people who are ridiculously good at figuring stuff like this out. And so, I mean, Sony could definitely do it. It's a possibility. But like I said, I don't expect any of this to happen anytime soon. If it was going to happen, my guess would be with like the PlayStation 5. That would be my guess, is when they release that, they'll somehow find a way and they'll integrate it into the system while they're building it, that you can play like PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3 and all these previous games on it. But that's just my guess. Next up, I want to talk about the next game that's going to be huge for backwards compatibility on the Xbox One, and my guess is going to be Modern Warfare 2. So Black Ops 2 was the game that everybody wanted for so long, that everybody was always tweeting at Major Nelson anytime there was any sort of Xbox announcements, or Phil Spencer tweets something or Major Nelson tweets something. There's always people like, when's Black Ops 2 become backwards compatible? Black Ops 2, Black Ops 2, and there were just like constant bombardments about this. And now that it's backwards compatible, people are like, oh man, what's next? Like, this was the most requested game, and the next one I believe is Skyrim, and then after that I think it's Modern Warfare 2. But I think, the Call of Duty community is super vocal about this, so I think Modern Warfare 2 will be the game to, for everybody to spam and everybody to want. And, pretty soon we're going to run out of Call of Duty games to become backwards compatible. Like, pretty soon we're going to have, like, Black Ops 3 becoming backwards compatible, or, like, Advanced Warfare or something stupid like that, So we only have, like, COD 4, Call of Duty Classic, Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3. And then once we have all those, every Call of Duty game will be backwards compatible on the Xbox One. So like I said, my guess is Modern Warfare 2 will be the next huge Call of Duty game, and then just the next game for backwards compatibility. There was teases and stuff of Modern Warfare 3 becoming backwards compatible, and I feel like that one would be a pretty easy one and something to just kind of satisfy the fans for now. But I'm seriously so happy about this. This is the best freaking thing about Xbox One right now, and Microsoft has just been killing it this year, and just like they're doing so good. So there you guys go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.